Hi, I'm Wes, the Explosion, and this is the Backlog. Every Sunday, until it's not. So, what I get up to this week?
So I played Skully this week. I heard this compared to Marble Madness, which I have never played before, but you can probably see. Your little ball thingy, and you have to roll around and do crazy platforming things. You also have three other forms that you can make, where one is big and strong, and you can throw your ball self around. Another one is small and quick and can move certain platforms psychically. And the other one has a double jump and can also move things psychically, but that one moves it up and down, whereas the other one moves it, you know, on the ground. So yeah. Oh my, this one was a mixed bag, because this can be quite fun and exhilarating, but there are also a lot of parts that are super frustrating. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, there were several times where I was just a few tries away from just rage quitting this game. Honestly, it typically would stay when it was bad, just frustrating enough that I would stick with it so that it didn't feel like, the progress I'd already made on the game was wasted. I'm sure you've all had instances like that. So the whole plot of the game is that there's four elemental type people. One's earth, one's wind, one's water, and one's lava fire. Take your pick. And you are Skully. You wash up on the shore, and the earth deity thingy majiggy, he fills you with mud, and now you're alive and can move and apparently have some limited form of sentient. And you just help him through the levels. I'm not really sure how. He just seems to pop up wherever you are. He doesn't really seem to need you to get places, and yet it's all on you to get from one place to another. The four siblings are fighting over something their mother left behind called, what is it, like the Earth Heart, the Live Heart, the Super, I don't know. It's a big heart, okay? Terry wants them to stop fighting and come together, but the other ones, they all think, I guess it's just supposed to be a generic power upgrade if they get it, and they all think that they'll be able to do the most good with it. So if you ask them, they're all altruistic, but it comes down to them all kind of just thinking of themselves. In case you didn't notice, this part that I'm doing right here, this is one of the parts that I almost rage quit on. I beat it a few minutes after I stopped recording here. But yeah, one of the problems with the games is, well, just camera angles for one. Then one of the other issues I had with the game was, there are times where the checkpoints in this game will be 5 feet away from the previous ones. And then there's other times like this where they place them pretty far apart, so you have to do the same thing that you pretty well mastered over and over again just to get to the point where you screwed up before to try it again, only to die immediately and have to start back with all the bullcrap you've already done dozens and dozens of times. Oh crap, I started with a negative. Like I said, there is fun with this game. Like right here, this part is only annoying because of how many times I screw it up, but honestly there is something exhilarating about just like speedrun, zoom, flashing through the levels and just getting your jumps perfect and going. But yeah, it can just be overwhelmed by some of the bullcrap where the simplest mistake, which might be your fault, it might be the way the level's set up, just sends you back a good deal and you have to continually do things over and over again. One other really big part of frustration in this game, though, is there's this one mechanic that they don't really explain well. For the platforms that you can move, like psionically, right? There's this one trick you can do where you can get the platforms to move back and forth on a set path. Now, the way they explain it is just a cave drawing, where it shows the platform with the R button underneath it, and then a platform farther away with the R button on it, which isn't really clear. And I could not figure this out for the life of me. So I did what any smart video game boy would do, and I looked up a walkthrough. The walkthrough I looked up, the full walkthrough that this guy managed to complete, he didn't use it once. He found ways around it to basically cheese the game because they explained it that bad that even somebody who managed to get the whole way through the game did not manage to figure it out. Then I went and looked through a playthrough of just the specific chapter in this game I was on, and watching them do it, it kinda clicked for me, and then I was making it work for a while. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped working. So there's some complicated function with it where you can do it, but not. So I just kinda think it's a garbage mechanic, honestly. It's neat, but I don't think they executed it well. My best guess is that when they playtested this, they did it in-house, so that they knew how everything worked and they were just testing for bugs, because I don't think a normal player would be able to really piece this together too much at all. But that just might be my bias at being bad at the game or something, I don't know. Though I did get through it, so I can't be that terrible, right? I guess just my overall rating for this game would be, I would recommend it if you were into this sort of thing, if it wasn't for the stupid mechanic that just doesn't seem to work. And the sad part that's gonna sound kinda gatekeepery is that if this game were bigger, I might give it a pass. Because if it were bigger, I'd be able to easily look up what I'm doing wrong. But since there are very few playthroughs of this online, and the GameFAQs board for this is pretty much non-existent, when you get to this mechanic and it just doesn't work, there's no real place you can go to easily find a guide for it. So yeah, I don't know. I feel bad saying don't play this game, but unless they either patch it, make it easier to understand, or somebody does an in-depth look at this game so that they explain the parts that don't seem to function as intended, I don't know. If I could go back in time and do it all over again, I wouldn't, I guess, and I think that kinda says it all on my feelings for this game. Now, the other game I played, which wasn't on the list and isn't even a full game but a demo, was Balan Wonderland, which is being produced by Square Enix and being made by some of the people who worked on Sonic the Hedgehog and Nights into Dreams, which the latter you can definitely see the influence of here. In this, you play as either a little boy or a little girl who, they seem to have depression, who wanders into a theater where this guy Balan is, and he notices that they're missing their heart or whatever, and takes them to this little wonderland. I get that it's a demo, so it might not have like the full story in it or anything, but if they're showing the opening cutscene, or at least what I'm assuming is the opening cutscene, it kind of feels weird to just, if there's more to the story, leave it there. So it's a little weird, and yeah. There's quite a few times in this game where I don't know what the hell is going on. I mean, first off, how does it play? Well, it's like a 3D platformer collect-a-thon, and it plays very slow. Like, look at me here. I'm running. I'm running, and that is all the running I can do. And that seems to be a bit of a glitch there that I just did, doesn't it? You collect different kinds of costumes which need to be unlocked, which typically the key for the locks are right next to the thing you need to unlock, so it seems a little frickin' pointless, doesn't it? And you use that to get around and try and collect statues of this guy, because I guess he's a narcissist. By this guy I mean Balan, not the giant farmer man. Now, aesthetically, I really love this. It looks very cute, the costumes are super cute, it's very aesthetically pleasing. But the way it actually plays, I mean, it's weird. As I said before, you are super slow. Not only that, but sometimes it clips a little bit when you're jumping and everything, and you also feel a lot heavier than you should feel, I think, in a platformer. At least when I play platformers, I want to be a lot more agile. I want to have a lot more agency over where I go. I want to be able to do things that the game devs didn't even intend me to do. I mean, I'm not going to do anything too crazy like pull off sequence breaks like people do in Mario speedruns, but sometimes I can cheese the game a little bit, and that's cool. That's super cool. As for the costumes themselves, they're fun, and I love how many different things you can do. Like, I don't even remember how many, but they promise quite a few different costumes. The problem kinda comes with there being a limit of 3 being carried at once, which, you know, I don't really get too upset about that. I could see it being, you know, overwhelming trying to cycle through as many costumes as this game reportedly will have. The problem is just keeping the ones that you actually want or need. As I get farther into the game, I see spots where I definitely need a different costume, right? But in order to actually have that costume, I need to travel to another stage, collect the costume that I need, and then bring it back to the place where I need it in the other stage. Now, the big issue with this pretty much comes because you don't seem to die normally. Like, if you get hit, it'll actually knock you out of your costume. So, if you died, if you got hit, or if you fell off the edge and you were wearing the costume that you needed, you would lose that costume, you would need to exit the level, go back to where you needed to pick it up, and then go all the way back. Which the game isn't super tricky, so it's not that big a deal, but it also does kind of necessitate, you know, like, it almost necessitates the need for you to have a spreadsheet for, oh, well, in this stage I need to bring this costume, in this stage I need to bring this costume, and just be very careful about keeping it. Another thing you can do is, if you have 3 costumes, whatever's in the 3rd slot, if you get a 4th costume, will be dropped. So, you could also very easily just, oh, I need this costume, I'm gonna keep it waiting in the wings so it's there when I need it, and then, oh man, I accidentally got rid of it. So, that could be kind of annoying. There are also weird little mini-games where I think if you do it perfect, I only do it once here, you get another statue, which you pretty much use those like jiggies to unlock new areas from what I understand. But yeah, if you screw up on a mini-game, the impression I get is you'll need to leave the level and then come back in and go to it again. So that's kind of annoying as well. The other really weird thing about this game is that all the buttons only do one thing, right? Like, regardless of what button I'm hitting, unless it's the, you know, unless it's a directional input, it's gonna do this. For this little guy, it's gonna jump, and then if you hold it, I'll do the Yoshi air kick, right? If I'm doing the Tasmanian Tornado, Tasmanian Devil Dabba de Boobity Boo, the other thing with the tornado, I'll jump and spin, and that's what it does. Which, I don't think I really thought too much about the limitations of this until I got to one character who, his special ability is he has punches that go out. He shoots off his fist a little way, right? Which meant that in this form, I could not jump. And this is pretty much just a platforming game, so if I cannot jump, that is an issue. So that means if I want to do any basic platforming, I need to switch forms just to that. So that's very troublesome. If they would have given more movement options, this would have been 100 times better. Oh shoot, another thing I need to mention is if you lose a costume or you die, it'll respawn the costumes in the level, but sometimes it mixes up where a specific costume is, so you need to search to get the one that you need again. So that's another way that it kind of just, I don't know, makes things more difficult and annoying than it needs to be. Now, like, a lot of these things I could almost see being passable in a way, because it's designed for children, I think. The slower pace, trial and experiment where you need to just go through the levels, like, a lot of times that'd be great for kids, because slower pace, you're not gonna splat into a wall. You're not gonna miss your chance. It's gonna be a lot easier and simpler for you. And the way that you want to just travel through levels again and again, I mean, I think kids are a lot better with like the repetition of this stuff because they just want to play around in this, in this world and everything. It's very pretty and everything. So, what happens if I take this power into this level? Oh, I think I needed this power over here. Oh, I got to get it and come back. I think it's good for that sort of thing. So, as a kid's game, this might actually be passable, but for an adult, this might just not be a good thing. Which I have been seeing some videos pop up. I haven't really watched any of them, but just from the thumbnails and the titles, it seems like a lot of people aren't super impressed with this game. The most optimistic one I saw was Square Enix is holding back the best for their Balan Wonderland, like the actual game release. They're not doing the best parts in like the demo. Which, I mean, you don't want to make everything great in, like, the demo, because then what's the point of playing the main game? But at the same point, you don't just do the really, really tepid and boring stuff for, like, the demo, because then when the actual game comes out, who would want to play it? The demo is crap. So I'm not sure how great I feel about this. I kind of think that if this game came out and it was 30 or 40 bucks, I'd probably pick it up because, like I said, I really like the visual. The costume, at least the idea of it, is a lot of fun. So, I like the promise of the game. But all that said, 60 bucks, and I mean, sometimes they put out demos so that they can get feedback and then improve the game. But this is gonna allegedly come out on March 26th, so I don't think that's one of these types of demos. I think this is really just a show-off sort of thing. And, I mean, I don't like everything that you're showing off, I guess. So, I don't know. There's a fair chance I will pick this up, but at a discount. Or if scores start coming out and they say, everything wrong with the demo has been fixed and now it's the perfect game, then I'll grab it. But for right now, I think I'm gonna sleep on it. All that said, I think this is on most platforms, and it's a free demo. So if you're curious, I mean, there's not a lot of reasons not to give it a try.
Yeah, I didn't play much in the way of games this week. There was one other one I started playing, but I didn't quite get it finished. But that'll be an easy out for next week, so that's not too big a deal. That said, I do have some other yays or nays for you. First up, I read through The Art of Cuphead, which... Cuphead's a beautiful game! Perhaps one of the most beautiful games in the last... well, really ever. So an art book of that is great. There's some interesting commentary in there too, although if I'm being completely honest, the stuff that, deals very directly with animation, I'm not really familiar with, so a lot of that stuff, phew. Then I also watched some One Piece. There were 2 TV specials and a movie. The first one takes place after the Marineford. It's got a weird title. It's 2 days crossed out and then, 3 years. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe without the actual movie title up there. Maybe I can find it. But anyway, this wasn't bad. There was a few weird parts where it seemed like things were left kind of, I don't know, vague, not really explained the best, but it was alright for a TV special. The second one, Adventures in Nebulandia, that one was awful. They were up against a tactician, and it wasn't really the interesting tactician thing where, ha ha ha, I have a plan, ho ho ho. Well, you did this thing, but luckily I had a backup plan, and this and that, not the countering of moves thing. It was the really boring type of tactician, strategist type guy where he predicted your every move, down to there's a wide open space and he knew exactly where you're going to step so he could put in a pitfall. That makes the movie very predictable and very boring, and I hate it. Luckily, there was still the actual feature film Stampede after all that stuff, and this one was a lot of fun. I have a hard time telling why it was fun, because they had so many characters in that I know a good deal of my joy must have been fan service, but it's frickin' One Piece. If I'm happy seeing a bunch of, like, just obscure characters show up for no damn reason, like Panda Man, and even people that I probably forgot about, like Alvita. She's still part of Buggy's crew. I hadn't seen her in a while. I kind of forgot about that. That was neat. They have all the members of the worst generation, and there's a lot in it. A lot. And the plot isn't bad. There's a lot of action in it, and it's just, if it's not good, at the very least, it's just really dumb fun. So if you like One Piece, check it out. It seems like most of the movies they make are of a lot better quality than regular anime because of how much filler it has, and just the TV specials, because I think with the movies, Oda, the mangaka that writes it, actually has more of a hand in it, so I think that's what helps them stand out so much compared to some of the other content. And one last thing I watched, there was a video game documentary on Netflix called High Score, and it was really good. Now, if you want to watch it or not, pretty much depends on whether you like both video games and documentaries. But if you're into that sort of thing, yes, it's a slam dunk. They have a bunch of the, big parts of the video game, like rise of them and everything, like the Atari, and then once the Atari, kind of crashed the game market because of E.T., which they gave some insight into, which was very interesting. The rise of Nintendo, the rise of Sega, different genres coming into popularity, but it also contained a lot of things that you wouldn't typically think about. Like, they talk about the guy who invented the cartridge system, which seems so basic now, but, back then it was revolutionary. They say about things like how they go over things like how, 3D first came into being, and also the advent of online multiplayer with more than just turn-based games. And it's just really fascinating. They also go over some of the people who make a living playing video games, the people who won tournaments and the like in the past, and it's just a very chill and very good time. So I'd highly recommend it. Oh, another thing worth mentioning, I'm not putting it on the list yet because it doesn't have enough clear times to get an average, so I don't know where to place it on the list. But I'll probably try and clear it in the next week. I got this sucker. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I really like 3D World. It's not my favorite 3D Mario, but it's pretty up there. So I think I'll have a lot of fun with it. I'm pretty sure I can beat it in a week, so look forward to it next time. Yeah.
Okay, we're down to 136, but not really because that one Mario's kind of in limbo. But I don't feel too bad about it. Even though I didn't get too much gaming done this week, I still got some other things done, mostly the One Piece. So yeah, if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching, maybe consider subscribing, and I'll see you next week, if nothing terrible happens.